Scrappy people, Traci Reed here today, coming at you with a Sketchy Sunday layout using the sketch number 28 or 29? 29. Sketch number 29 and the summer camp collection. So we are starting in Photoshop, so you can see first of all how I edit the 12 by 12 sketches to fit the life crafted size. And then also I wanted to show you how I'm going to create the title for this page. It has a repeating title on the sketch down the right hand side of the page, and I was thinking sort of like a stamped title. So I want to recreate a stamped title in Photoshop. So the summer camp alphabets are kind of stamped to begin with. They're like stamped on cardstock. That's the vibe that you're supposed to get. So I'm going to do shine, and I'm going to overlap these letters so that they look like one piece. So I just want them to all sort of go together. I don't want to cover up any of the white. I'm just overlapping the yellow portions. And now initially I thought that I would leave the yellow portion on the outside of the page, or the outside of the letter. But the problem that I come across, I'm going to make my background paper yellow, and the problem that I come across is that in order to give the letters definition, there is a slight shadow, like a slight inner shadow on the inside edge of the letter. So what I'm doing is I'm adding a stroke to the inside edge of the letter in the same color yellow to sort of get rid of that yellow edge, but I end up not liking the way that that looks. And so what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to end up deleting the yellow altogether. But first I'm going to really try to make this work. Not so much. I'm not going to love it. And I'm being super nitpicky too. It's just that the yellows don't match all the way across, and you can now you can see a yellow outline around the outside of the edge, and I just don't love it. So I'm going to work with it. I'm going to resize the shine so that it is the appropriate size for the page, and then I'm going to duplicate it all the way down, sort of changing the angle so that it looks like it's stamped, but you know, it's just the angles are different, and it's just kind of cool and jaunty the way that the sketch shows. So I'm sort of re-angling, moving things down. There we go. Then I move them underneath everything so that I can see what they look like underneath all the paper and photo layers. I'm not going to be doing this whole layout in Photoshop, but I am going to be printing out the background as it is. So you can see when I drop the yellow paper down, you can see the outline on all of the shines, and that is what really bothers me. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to merge them all together. First I'm going to, try one more time to add that stroke on there. It's just not going to work. But so I'm going to instead merge them all together, and I'm going to delete the yellow backgrounds from the letters. So I'm going to use my magic wand tool, and I'm going to select just the white part of the letters, adding in a couple times just to make sure I've got all of the white. And then I'm going to select the inverse, and I'm going to delete all of the yellow. So now I've got just the white bits of the letters instead of the yellow bits, and because it's going on a yellow paper, even if there's some stray pixels, you're not going to see it. So I'm going to merge these together now, and then I'm just going to print out my paper just like this, and then we can move over into real life. Alright, so you can see I also added in some of the paint from the collection as well. It looks really messy, but if you remember the sketch, there's going to be a lot going over the center of that page, so it's just going to peek out the top and the bottom. I decided to matte it on the wood grain from the collection because it gives it a nice neutral base with all of that stuff going on. And then I printed out some pieces from the sketch already layered. So I decided that I did not want to torture my silhouette and cut out that wood grain doily on my silhouette. So I just stuck it, or merged it with the circular pattern paper that goes behind it on the sketch. And I did the same thing with those rings that go over these half circles. There's actually a ring on the main circle in the sketch as well, but I decided to go with the doily instead of the ring. And now I'm going to add in my paper strips that were on the sketch. I decided to go with this neutral black and white buffalo plaid-ish. And of course I had to add the rainbow as well. I love the way that this collection matches my clothing in these photos, so that is why I chose it, but also it's a nice bright sunshiny layout, and I'm sort of showing off my adorable earrings from Hello or OK Cutie in my photo because I ordered them from one of my good friends, Kat. She hand makes these beautiful polymer clay earrings, and this is probably my favorite pair. I've ordered some really intricate pairs and some really fun pairs, but this is the pair that I can see myself wearing all the time. I adore it. Matched it to my Sublime shirt with the sun, of course, and with some pigtails. I was just feeling myself that day, so I decided to celebrate it because I don't wear makeup or get dressed up a lot since the Great Panini, and so when I do, I'm gonna take a picture. Okay, so I'm sort of putting these photos down where they go on the sketch. I'm gonna adhere to the sketch pretty closely on this page. I add a lot more to it as I normally do. I like to create my sketches as a jumping off point for people to add what they want to the page, so they're kind of like base layouts. So I always end up adding a ton to my sketches, and you can choose to add a ton to the sketch or you can choose not to. That's the beauty of the sketch itself. Okay, so let's start adding in some word bits and other things from the collection. So I'm going to start with some smaller clustery items, as well as some florals and some suns. I had to add a sun to this page, duh, because it's not talking about, but it features suns, so we're going to add them. And then I thought that these rainbows would be fun little layering pieces on the top and the bottom as well. So I chose to do some blue and green rainbows and flowers at the bottom on this orange circle, and then on the top circle I'm going to do the orange and yellow so that we kind of have a nice color variation and everything. Like there's an orange circle on the bottom, so we have blue and green embellishments, and there's a blue circle on the top, so we're going to have yellow and orange embellishments. I always think about color balance when I am scrapbooking, so that's just one of the things that I think about. Okay, so this is coming together fairly quickly. Love me a good sketch. I added in these word bits that say, oh, hello you, there you are, which relates to the journaling, because the journaling is talking about how during the Great Panini I sort of lost myself, and we're all in survival mode, right? So because I'm talking about that, I added in word bits that kind of say, or something along the lines of, you found yourself, just to contrast the journaling. Cut it in half now that it's all put together, and then I will add in my holes for my hole punch. Always a risk when you've got lots of layers, so I end up struggling with it, and I'm going to just skip past that part because I always struggle with the hole punch. Maybe I just need a better hole punch. I decided to add in some butterflies. Butterflies are my thing, so they needed to be on my page, and I sort of want them fluttering around the page, so I printed them in a couple different sizes. These are actually from the digital kit, so they're all going to match, and I love the deep pop of gray and orange. The gray really adds to the page because it anchors my shirt and adds just a little bit more richness and depth to the color scheme. And then of course that bright orange is super fun too. It just leads your eye all over the page. Super pretty. But of course I can always struggle. You can always count on me to struggle with pulling the backings off of things. It's just how I roll. I love this page. It's probably one of my favorite pages this year. It really came out beautifully. I love the melding of digital and printed techniques. I love how it just adds so much to the page when you can combine two different mediums and really make both mediums shine. I'm going to add in these orange enamel dots. I thought about adding more than one color, I have yellow. I think I'm going to add orange and yellow, and I really wanted to add the blue. That was the thing. But the blue is just too bright compared to the sort of denim-y blue, the gray blue in the collection. And I contemplated it for a while, and I just couldn't make myself do it. Instead, I'm going to tuck in these enamel dots a little bit more than they were previously. So like you can see they're kind of wide and out far from my embellishment clusters, and then I decided that they were just sticking out too much. So I'm going to rearrange them a little bit. You can see I'm still trying to work that blue in, but I'm going to change my mind. Sometimes I feel like I just maybe went a little too far, but this one I pull it back in together. So once I start tucking them in, there we go. And it works out better. I'm just changing up the size in some places because I didn't want them all to be the larger enamel dots. It's funny, these enamel dots are from one of the very first collections I ever designed for Simple Stories. They're super old, but the color palette works really well. Okay, we're almost there. Just gonna fuss with the enamel dots a little bit more, and then I'm gonna call it good. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Traci M. Reed. I'd love to see you over there as well. There's a link to the sketch challenge in the description box below. You can see other examples with the sketch, as well as download a printable PDF of the sketch so that you can keep it by your side for inspiration. And there are links to all of the products used as well. So I will see you next time. All right, thank you.